I'm Chuck Black, and this is the Age of Ingenuity podcast. And I am speaking right now with Kelly Anne Wolfe. She is the CEO and co host of the Freedom Forum podcast, which is starting this week. She is also the executive director of Hugs Over Masks, and she's the previous executive director of The Line. Thank you for joining us on such short notice, Kelly.
Thank you for having me. Always a
Uh,
pleasure.
I wish it was for a better reason. My understanding is that one of the protesters in the parade yesterday, the Freedom Parade, that went on at Dundas Square, they were beaten up. What happened?
Yeah. You know what's really unfortunate about this is the fact that he suffers from autism as well.
Oh dear.
And learning disabilities and a few other things. Tyler was having a great day. You know, I saw him, he was dancing in the streets, marching along with Patty, my girlfriend, who also has minor autism.
Mm-hmm.
And they were having a great time. And then I got home later that evening and I got frantic messages from Patty, who I do counsel sometimes. With her, she has minor autism. So, you know, and I try and help her with coping mechanisms with everybody around her because she's not used to being in big groups, and she has been lately, and she's doing really well. But she messaged me and said that she got a message from Tyler saying that he was on his way home on the subway,
Mm-hmm.
and he exited the subway. Of course, Tyler doesn't wear masks. And he was followed by somebody who was very abrupt and condemning him for not wearing a mask and shouting obscenities on him. He kept on walking and kept on, going towards his house and going towards home. And this person jumped him. He ended up in critical care at Humberwood with cracked ribs, his neck in a brace. He's got bruises and cuts all over his head, his face, his hands, his arms. He's got a serious concussion. And Patty and her fiance had to, they live in Barrie, and she had just gotten home when she got all this. And they flew back down at about 2 or 3 in the morning and picked him up. And he's now staying with them in Barrie until he reaches a full recovery.
Oh dear. You showed me you sent me some pictures of him in, I believe it was intensive care. He's got a pretty substantial gash on his forehead. He's got scrapes, contusions around the rest of his body. And you're right. The photo you sent me shows him in a neck brace that usually is indicative of either broken collarbone or some fear from the doctors that there's going to be some permanent injury.
Yeah.
Have the police been called?
As far as I know, there was a report filed.
Okay.
I believe that they're following up with that later on this evening. Myself and my co-host Eli are going to, on Tuesday, we're going to be traveling up to Barrie. We just want to let him have a little bit of time to let his concussion heal.
Yes.
In order for him to be coherent enough for an interview, but we will be doing it. We will be doing an interview and posting it on Freedom Forum as well.
That sounds like a wonderful thing. The gentleman's name, I believe, is Jonathan Tyler Kenny.
Yes, but he's well known. He's well known as Tyler, right? So.
And he's a regular attendee at most of the protests. Maybe going back to the beginning. How long have you been doing protests? Since April, May?
Gosh, since April. Since April. I believe April. Yeah.
I've been coming to them with some regularity for 3 months, but you guys are doing it far before I showed up. And what do you think of a person who'd pound on an autistic gentleman just because they don't wear a mask?
I blame the premier. I absolutely blame the premier and the mainstream media. Absolutely. And they're 100% responsible for these sort of actions happening. You know, look at the media articles that have been coming out, condemning thousands of people who are standing up for their lawful rights against a corrupt agenda. I mean, the science is out, guys. We've proven that this is bullshit. COVID does exist, absolutely, but it's not a threat. It's not a threat to anybody. There's absolutely no reason. We just had a big win for Hugs Over Masks in BC. You know, kids are not going to be mandated to wear masks anymore in schools, which is fantastic, you know, and that's the kind of actions that we're seeking to further and bring to the rest of the country. And we will. We absolutely will. Me personally, I'm working directly, you know, I'm in direct contact with Rocco Galati and a few other lawyers, an entire handful. I know that Chris Sky is working with a bunch of paralegals and lawyers, you know, and it's time for us to start teaching people to perform civil disobedience when it comes to this nonsense. And that's not just on masks, that's on everything. But the mainstream media just to stay on topic, is absolutely responsible for these sorts of attacks. They absolutely are. Look at the headlines. These idiots. You are endorsing, supporting, and encouraging hate. So shame on CBC, shame on Global, shame on every mainstream media outlet out there that tries to, belittle or just paint us in such a bad light, or convince people otherwise, that this is not nonsense. People are waking up. If you haven't noticed, our protest grew from 4 people to, come on, entire cities now. So, and the entire country and the entire world for that matter. We've got hundreds of thousands of people all over the world. They can't all be wrong.
How's Tyler doing? Do you know when he'll be out of danger?
Well, I know that he's been sleeping a lot. He does have a serious concussion. To the person who assaulted him, whoever you are, because he has no recollection, as far as we know so far, but maybe he will. And I'm going to help in that manner personally. Trying to, we'll try and strike his memory if we can. But to the person that assaulted him, shame on you. You are the problem with our society, and you are a Nazi. And I'm going to say it just like it is. You are a Nazi, and it is disgusting. And if you want to pick on somebody, and to all those other people out there who think they have the right to lay hands violently on any single person, why not do it to me? Or do it to somebody who is able to take care of themselves. You're a coward, you're disgusting, and you belong in jail.
Thank you very much, Kelly Anne Wolfe. We look forward to your interview with Tyler later on this week.
Yeah, thank you for having me.